Hello, everyone. This is Bruce Villarreal, speaker, businessman, and transformer of lives. I'm so happy to connect with you here on Bruce Talks Podcast and Bruce Talks Podcast en Español. We're going to be having simultaneous messages both in English and in Spanish. So if you have Spanish-speaking friends, please have me connect to Bruce Talks Podcast, and we're going to have Bruce Talks Podcast en Español. We're excited because we're launching our video number 1, and this is an exciting topic. I was reading a book last week, and when I read this story, it changed my life. And you're going to ask yourself, what does Rêve mean? And I'm going to explain what Rêve means and how it's relevant to our personal life, to our business life, to our life as a human being, and also as an entrepreneur. In whatever area of life that you have, we're going to be touching base on different topics that are going to help you and me and all of us to improve our quality of life, to improve our leadership skills, to polish up and transform what we have to transform in our life to get to the next level and achieve your dreams. So not too long ago, we're always talking about reading books. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you I'm not the best one to read books. But when I read a book, I do take notes on the pages and I do pay attention. I do a lot of audiobooks. I do a lot of seminars and events. But we can't miss out on the value of reading a book. And again, even if you read one page a day, you're going to finish anywhere from 1 to 3 books a year, even on the worst case scenario. But we want to get so good we're reading 1 book a month. And then if you get a little bit, better at that, 1 book a week, like Manny. I'm not there yet, but we can get there together. But I can tell you, it just takes a few good ideas to, transform your life. You don't have to read all the books, but as much as you can read and get in your hands is going to help you. But I was reading this book, and I want to make a shout out to my good friend, Jay Overstreet, who was a customer and ended up being one of my good friends. And he gave me a book that changed my life. And he gave me this book, which is Acres of Diamonds. Acres of Diamonds, I want to recommend that you read it. But it's a powerful book and story. But it's by a gentleman by Jensen Franklin. And he's a pastor, and he talks about all sorts of topics. But as I was picking up that book, it talks about Acres of Diamonds. You got to hear it. It's a $1 million speech that a pastor gave. He said over 30,000 times in about a span of 30 years. But that's a whole different topic. We'll talk about Acres of Diamonds. But today in this book, Acres of Diamond, on page number, I just read 4 pages that night, and it was page number 60 to 63. So if you pick up the book and you read pages 60 to 63, it's going to show the relevance of the story today. But you know what? Before I get into the topic, you see this beautiful picture here. It's a beautiful piece of art. My daughter Carolina, she's an artist, and she makes these magical pieces. And it's amazing how a piece of art can be an expression of your life, and it can change your life, and it can touch people's lives. And that's why art collectors pay so much for art pieces that mean something to them, or it changes or moves something in them, or it expresses something that they feel or desire. But it's inspiration, period, for the artist and also for the collector. But anyways, on page 63, it was talking about this painting, Rêve. And I had heard of the name Rêve, and I had heard that, somebody was going to name a hotel after it, but it didn't happen. But before we get to that topic, I want to ask you, have any of you, I'm sure you have, but, I want to go back to that. Have any of you had your dreams torn or broken, where you had a life plan, or you had a plan that you thought was going to execute or happen in a certain way, but it didn't work out? I've been there. And sometimes, we think that's not going to happen. So I want to warn you, if you have a direction or a plan, there's always going to be obstacles, road bumps, and you're going to get hit. And that's what they call Murphy's Law. But, those dreams can turn into torn dreams or broken dreams. And we get discouraged. We can get depressed. We can feel like, hey, life has no meaning. And it's happened. It's happened to me. And I'm sure it's happened possibly to you. Maybe you are there. Maybe you already overcame that. But wherever you're at today, if you're in that torn moment, I want to encourage you to, hey, you know what? Wake up and get out of it. Snap out of it. Today, I'm going to give you that encouragement with this story, which was very inspiring and encouraging to me. But if you already overcame that, also be that inspiration for other people who have those torn or broken dreams. And that's part of my goal with you and connecting with you with these videos and the podcast we're going to be having in Bruce Talks Podcast. So to encourage you, to give you some tools, and so we can walk together to get you to the next level. But in any case, I started to read the story of Rêve, which Rêve means the dream. So that's awesome. Rêve means the dream. So that was a magical title for this painting. And this painting was painted by Picasso at the age of 50 in 1932. And it was inspired by his lover, Marie Therese Walter. So, obviously, this painting was based on an inspiration, but it's called the Rêve, or the Dream. But what's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is that the real estate mogul and hotel mogul, which is Steve Wynn, the owner of Mirage, the MGM, the Bellagio, and also the famous Wynn Hotel and the Encore in Las Vegas, which is one of the most prestigious ones there. He's an avid art collector, and he says that he purchased this painting from Picasso for an amount of $60 million. Can you believe that? This painting right here, this painting over here, $60 million. That's amazing. $60 million for this painting, but it's the dream. So it says that Steve Wynn had, he has a massive art collection, and he threw a big party because he was going to sell this painting. He secured a deal with the hedge fund manager, or hedge fund owner, which was Stephen Cohen, a billionaire. He also has a massive art collection. He owns a sports team, and an impressive gentleman. But he was going to buy this painting from Steve Wynn for $139 million. So can you imagine? He bought it for 60. He was going to sell it for $139 million. He made a profit on that deal. But he had this party. One of the guests was Barbara Walters. Maybe some of you know her, from TV. An amazing newscaster. I think it was Channel 7. But in any case, he had all these prestigious, movie stars and people who were there at his party. And they said, hey, you know what? We want to see the painting before you sell it. They went up to his offices, which is where he had it. He had it displayed in the hotel, but he moved it to his office because he was going to be selling it to Stephen Cohen. And what's amazing is that, they're having this party. Everybody's celebrating his win, $139 million. Amazing deal. Everybody's excited, especially Mr. Wynn. A couple of $1 million at that level doesn't make much of a difference. But, hey, that's a profit of over, a little bit more than half and a quarter of new money for that, turning that around. But anyways, he's there celebrating. And they say he had a condition. And he was excited and displaying and showing this piece of art. And guess what? He hit the piece of art and tore it. He made a tear in a $60 million Picasso original painting. Oh my God. Guess what? The deal with Stephen Cohen was no. In other words, that's not going to happen. He says, you know what? This deal's over. That's not going to happen. And I want to relate this, that maybe with your dream or your situation, your life, your marriage, your personal life, your business, it's been torn, that you feel torn, you feel broken, or you have been broken. Well, this story is relevant because what happened is he sought out somebody who was a restorer of paintings. And, he got the top restorer in the world. And he said, hey, you know what, sir, I can get this done for you, but it's going to cost you $9 million. For a $60 million piece to secure, maybe the resale of the deal, it was well worth it. Or even maybe to rescue, take care of that original painting. And he said that it was going to leave it even better than how it was. Guess what? He restored it $9 million later. He was able to turn that. They say that it looked better than the original. You couldn't tell that it was torn. And guess what? Stephen Cohen was back on the tables and wanting to buy it. And he did buy it. He did sell it. He sold it for $155 million. Can you believe that? From 60 to 139, it was torn, where you say, hey, that's broken. It's no good. It's trash. Guess what? If you ever have felt that way, torn and broken, where, hey, you know what? You don't feel valuable. People can criticize you. But guess what? If you do coaching, if you do mentorship, if you work on you, you can turn the torn and the broken into success. And the story relevant to the book with Jensen Franklin, he's talking about how God can restore our dreams. He's a dream restorer. So if you're a believer, I like that story because it is relevant, because it does take faith. He does restore. He does give back. But I guess it takes work. It takes effort from you to believe, have faith, and work it. But if you want to translate it into our terms, you can also, hey, self-develop, work out, take classes, build up your skills, get coaching, get mentorship, attend seminars, attend events, and guess what? You turn into this new man, a new woman in the marketplace, a new man, new woman in your home. a new man, a new woman to yourself, a new man, a new woman that brings value to the market. And that was inspiring and encouraging to me, how it is that he took a torn painting and turned it into an even more valuable piece. So guess what? Wherever you're at today, you can turn into that more valuable piece, that valuable piece of art. Because all of you and all of us are works of art from God, works of art from life. You are, your own special creation. And if you've been torn, if you've been broken, you've lost hope, you've lost it all, you've had to start over again. Guess what? Many people have succeeded. Many people have had the chance to go through the desert and end up successful on the other side. They have restored themselves. They had work on it. But guess what? It does take work. It does to seek mentorship. It does seek counsel. And this is part of what we want to do here today. And so that's an inspiring story for me. That means that you can turn something broken and make it bigger and better. And the idea here today, guys, is to have faith, active faith, meaning that you work on it. Not only do you pray on it, not only do you wish it, not only do you hope it, but you work it. Write that down. Work it. Let's work it. Let's work on ourselves, which means do something about it today. We all have, that's one of the things I have many conversations with many people, how it is that sometimes we live in our past success, our past failures, and we're thinking about the future. What does it hold, success or not, worries and fears, but we forget to live in the present. So I want to encourage you all today to take inventory and give thanks for the present where you're at today. No matter if you're torn, again, you go with the restorer and you get restored and you become more valuable. Everything that you wish and desire, you can have it. It's just a matter of time. And, at the end of the day of this talk today is to encourage you to live your dream. Live the dream, live your dream. And that's the magic formula. So I'm so excited to share this first episode, this first video with you, with our YouTube channel, with Bruce Talks Podcast, Bruce Talks Podcast en Español. I want to encourage you to please subscribe, hit the bell button so you get all the notifications and we stay connected. And like I promised, we're going to be sharing a valuable video and story every week where we're going to be giving seeds of success that you're going to sow into your life, that you and I together will gain the skills, transform and evolve, and together get to the next level. So I want to thank you for tuning in on this story of Rêve, the dream. Share the dream, ladies and gentlemen, with your friends and family, co-workers, business partners, with your children, because all of this information is encouraging how it is that you can turn the torn to more value. And that's all of you. You are valuable. And the best of success and love to you. Thank you for connecting to Bruce Talks Podcast, Bruce Talks Podcast en Español. I'll be seeing you next week with our next episode.